Just wanted to start with an editor's note. When Broclen says there will be no music in this episode, he is wrong. All right, thanks for listening and have a Happy New Year. Hello, and welcome to the Dank Christian Memes podcast. Things are a little different today. Usually we start with Olive Tiger, but due to some auditory issues, we're going to be without music today. But I am here with Castor Troy and Jacob, and we're here talking about 2023. It's New Year's Day, the first day of 2023. And we also want to spend some time talking about our Meme of the Year award, maybe review some of the more interesting memes on our sub this year, and then talk about what we reflect most on about 2022 and what we're looking forward to for 2023. Does that sound like a good plan for y'all?
Yeah, sounds great.
I like that. That's a good plan. Yeah.
All right. So let's start with the elephant in the room. Our format here on Reddit Talk is a little bit different. We had some technical issues, but that I'm going to set those aside. But Reddit Talk isn't like displaying the way it used to. When the program was officially running, when you opened either the Reddit homepage or the Reddit official app, it would show you all the live conversations that are going. That doesn't seem to be the case anymore. So I'm interested to see how that is going to change our format and whether or not, our sort of live recording, I wonder how different things will be when we don't have people coming in and raising their hands as much.
Right.
So I just wanted to point that out if folks are like, oh, geez, it seems a little quieter than usual. That may be why. Or, it is New Year's Day. So maybe a lot of people were up and about last night and are still recovering today. So the other side of that, and I'll go more about this, is we've sort of made some steps to make our podcast official, but I'm going to save those details for the end of the looking forward segment. Let's start with a quick introduction. How was your New Year's Eve and how's your New Year's Day been so far? You want to start, Castor Troy?
Sure. So my New Year's Eve was great. I spent it just with some friends, some close friends down here. And just wanted to be just around like a lot of positive energy and just people that I like. I like to tell people that New Year's Eve is one of my favorite holidays, like probably top 2 or 3, because it's based around just getting with people that you love and appreciate and kind of like the family you chose kind of situations usually. So I just enjoyed that time doing that and just eating good food and, taking part in some nice drinking and whatnot and partying and playing video games and that sort of thing. But it was a nice lively event for like just me and my friends. But my New Year's Day is actually going pretty low key. Literally the first thing I've done all day is this. I didn't wake up until about an hour ago to make sure that my equipment and everything was working right around the time that you were originally texting me. So right now I can say my New Year's Day, my 2023 is going great because I am alive and I'm hanging out with pets and talking to my friends online. So far, so good. Good start to 2023.
Well, thanks for getting it started with us. And I do appreciate that more. I think especially now that I'm married and have a family of my own, that New Year's Eve and New Year's Day is a sort of, play it how you want. There's a lot of options and traditions, but you can also go your own way. And that's kind of fun about the holiday. Jacob, do you want to share a little about, your New Year's Eve and New Year's Day experiences?
Yeah, so I was not partying. I actually was doing a babysitting job for some parents who were going to events on New Year's Eve. And so basically I spent last night hanging out downstairs after the kids had gone to bed. And if I sound a little tired right now, it's because I actually just woke up like minutes ago. And that was because
Now, did you wake up or were you woken up by someone?
you woke me up. My phone was buzzing, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm late."
I just wanted to take credit for that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I probably would have been up if I wasn't up until about 4 a.m., which wasn't supposed to be what happened, but there was little mishap on the parents getting home, and so I was just hanging out.
Time makes fools of us all. Your tired voice sounds like a really good radio DJ, like the low tones for a late at night radio station.
Right. I'm just relaxed right now. I'm like chilling here and chatting.
Well, and my hope was that this was going to be, we've been podcasting about half the year, and as I've looked through our stuff, a lot of our stuff has gone 3 hours long. That's not our goal here today. I'm trying to be disciplined, keep things on the rails here. But if you guys are ready, I'd like to talk about our top meme and our top memes of the year. So I was thinking that I'd explain the little contest we sort of run here, and then Jacob, do you want to break down our top meme, which is actually a single frame meme, so it's not too bad.
Sure. I'll let you start off then.
Yeah, so Dank Christian Memes has been going strong for I think a couple years now, but a few years back we closed down for a while. People forgot we exist. I wanted to try to figure out a way to incentivize people to post and appreciate people for posting. So what we came up with, and we sort of workshopped this with Jacob, myself, and David, our other moderator, that we each week, whoever has the top meme of that week will get a flare. So we give them user flare Minister of Memes, and I cooked up a little ordination certificate so each week we, quote unquote, ordained the top poster as a Minister of Memes. And then today, the last week of the year, we named the top meme of the year. The person who posted it gets the user flare based bishop, and they were awarded the Golden Jesus Award, which is an award we at Dank Christian Memes made. I believe David made it years ago, and it gives 1 month free ad browsing, our lounge access, and 700 Reddit coins to go along with it. And it is a picture of Jesus who seems to be cast entirely in gold. So before we move on to the meme itself, we did have a little bit of eyebrows raised, because when we put the announcement post out there, someone's like, Golden Jesus Award, isn't that a false idol? And I'm like, well, maybe. So what are your thoughts on that, Jacob? Do you think we should have gone straight for the golden calf, or are we not walking our line more carefully enough here?
I feel like well, there are enough branches of Christianity that would see a golden Jesus as an idol that it's a valid question, but also there are a whole lot more Christians who are very much about images of Jesus. I think it's a fine thing.
I think it might be a little bit of a commentary, right? Like, we love our Dank Christian Memes and we have lots of spiritual conversations about them, but we're on Reddit.com and Reddit runs ads right next to our religious memes. So maybe, Golden Jesus is just sort of reminding us of that our faith is being commodified and sold to an extent.
Maybe a bit. Are we then active participants in exactly this?
There can be, myself, especially as a digital minister, you could make a lot of cases that I'm flying too close to the sun. So, if I'm eventually shot down with one of these projects, I that feels somewhat deserved. I think I'm okay with that. So, do you feel comfortable moving on to the top memes themselves?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you could give us a decent visual description of our top meme here, which was
My top
posted
meme of the last year.
by a user I only eat pizza rolls, who's now officially a based bishop.
Yeah, I have it right here. So to give an audio description of a meme, we have below our text the image of a guy at a party with a likely intoxicated girl speaking directly into his face, and he looks mildly uncomfortable about the situation. And she basically is saying, we were raised to believe that using God's name in vain was saying, oh my God, but using God's name in vain has more to do with using God to manipulate people, advance personal, religious, and political agendas. And I think the fun thing about this meme is that it's sort of a double reference. The bit here is that this is something people say a lot, and in fact post on the sub a lot. And rather than framing it as an instructive format, it's being framed as a format where this statement is overstated and perhaps annoying. And so you can kind of see a little bit of an internal conflict here.
The format also has a bit of a subversion of expectations. There's a few memes out there that depict a sort of, I'll just kindly say, overly enthusiastic male, like really speaking to a female as if she's like a captive audience. Like she could not escape that conversation if she wanted to. So I think part of this is like the interesting flip on that, to see, when these kids look like maybe they're teenagers or in their early 20s, a female holding a male as a captive audience to do this thing he's, like you've said, probably heard a million times before on the subreddit.
Yeah.
So the post did pretty well, but I think it owes its success both to what you noted about how what it means to take the Lord's name in vain. I think there were a lot of people for whom that is new. This post did make it to our all, so it did get attention for people outside the subreddit. So I'm imagining that a number of people were like, "Oh wow," when they actually read it. You mind if I move on to our second one? And we're not going to hit them all. I'm just want to visit a few.
Kind of wanted to add actually one more bit of commentary, if that's all right.
Of course.
Looking at the number here of upvotes, got 20.4k upvotes. It really speaks to something that is hard to feel in real time, but occasionally you see the direct evidence of it here, which is that content in our community gets really far. That's larger than a lot of American towns, right? A number of people have upvoted that, and even more have seen that.
Yeah, and that's something that I've been shocked by, is how, we in Reddit, we really do focus on upvotes, but there's a lot of lurkers and people without accounts that are also seeing these popular posts.
Right. Not to mention that every one of these that reaches all is we get features in YouTube videos, right, where the subreddit is sifted through by people who are reading the best posts for people who want to sit around and listen.
That's the irony of our podcast. If you search for Dank Christian Memes, we now have our own podcast, but you find several other podcasts just talking about our content. So we're talking about ourselves for the first time in several years of people kind of doing this. We also get articles around Easter and Christmas that will pull content from us as well.
Yeah, I think it's just part of the media ecosystem we existed, but it's kind of fun to think that when we're looking at the top content here, we're also not just seeing what was seen the most via the sub, but probably what has carried to a bunch of other places that are harder to track offhand. But if it comes up, you see it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one other thing I wanted to add before we moved on.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, it can be a little mind-boggling to consider when our posts sort of, grow up and move out of the sub, go into the world and, sort of start to have a life all their own. And it's hard to keep track of, even on Reddit, where there, is someone cross posting it somewhere, and things like that. So this, I also want to point out, this top post has 20.4K upvotes. It was 19.9 last night. So this post has actually received a little more love since it got the announcement that it's the top meme of the year. So that's interesting. This next one, I'll be honest with you, I almost removed. It was on the border of the rules, I feel, but it turned out to be the second meme of the year. So that's a little humbling for me. And the thing that barely makes it a meme, it says, is it has a figure of the crucified Lord in the middle. And it's so poorly photoshopped that you can see the unique rectangle around the image of Christ on the cross. They clearly, sort of slapdash threw in there. But it's I believe it was also flagged as a Facebook post, which is not usually not usually a compliment. But it reads as follows: Christian roulette. Open the Bible to a random page, follow exactly what is written, and the last one to go to jail wins. So the meme itself, I think, brings very little to the conversation, but the comment thread is really interesting, and I think gave people a unique opportunity to sort of chit chat about some of their most outrageous pieces of scripture that people may not always, realize.
Instructions unclear. Got genealogy.
Right. Yeah. I guess I have to sire a lot of generations here. I'm trapped in a genealogy.
Oh, also, I feel like I should note this. Clearly, you're still talking, so this may not be an issue. But for me, on my end, it just says it doesn't show you in the room, and it says there is no active host in the room. The talk will automatically close unless a host rejoins.
I was just about to text you about that.
Yeah.
How do we proceed?
Well, I will invite you both to host. It does feel a little bit like Reddit Talks is rejecting us like a bad organ today. Hopefully that's not what goes down. So as I was saying about this meme, I approved it, sort of reluctantly, but it's been a good lesson that, it can have good conversation. I believe I posted something along the lines, because I had to get in on it. Florida man arrested for sending, quote, attack bears after teens who insulted his receding hairline. So that was...
What?
Story of Elisha.
Do you want to explain? Castor Troy is not familiar with this story. Do you want to explain, Jacob?
Yes, there was a time where Elijah's walking down the road and like a bunch of kids just mock him for being bald. And he basically turns around and now stretches his arms and bears come out of the woods and maul all these kids. So basically, don't make fun of prophets that you see balding. It's generally a bad idea.
No, please do not. That is a life-changing mistake.
Yeah.
Do that.
As an extremely bald person, this is one of my favorite little snippets of scripture. I feel vindicated. I will share with you, I am so bald that I was being made fun of for being bald as a freshman in high school. So there's I feel like the biblical writer here and I may have shared some experiences.
How many bears have you summoned in your time?
Not enough, but I think bears are pretty great. But if I could summon anything, I think I would go for moose. Living in North America, they're huge, and like a bear, like there's little like explainers, like when you go to a park that might have bears, and or the news will tell you, hey, if you encounter a bear, do this. No one tells you what to do if you encounter a charging moose, because I assume there's nothing to do but be charged by the moose in that circumstance.
How do I? Oh, here we go. I think you're up now.
Yes, I think I'm up as well.
Sorry about
So-
that, everyone. We had a technical issue, and Reddit appears to have shut us down after thinking there was no host.
So we had some technical difficulties. I think the only thing we're waiting for is for Castor Troy to be able to come back into the conversation. But I believe where we had left it is we were discussing the top memes, and I think we did pretty well with most of them. We hit the top two, and I feel like there was maybe one. Oh, okay. I think there's one more I'd like to go over before we move past the memes, if that's okay.
All right. Oh, here's our friend.
All right. So Castor's in here, and I'm inviting you both to host now, in case it decides that one of us is not a host for some reason. Are you with us, Castor Troy?
I am indeed.
All right, so we're going to go over our last meme of the year. I believe this one was, I think it's like, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's the 9th meme of the year. It's got just under 15,000 upvotes, and it's a headline meme, and it says, "If you can't go to confession, take your sorrows directly to God," Pope says. And it's a picture of two people from The Office, sort of looking like, one looks like Martin Luther, and one sort of looks like he's wearing a papal hat, maybe a Jewish yarmulke. I'm not unclear, but it says, "Wow, that's good. I can't believe no one's thought of this. That Catholics are the only ones who bring their confessions directly to a clergy person."
Oh, that is a hat associated with Martin Luther.
Is it the black one or the white one?
Art of Martin Luther, yeah. It's like a 1500s German thing.
Well, this seems like a COVID joke to me. This seems like something that, like, this headline came out at COVID times because people couldn't go to confession as they normally would, and then because of circumstance, you find yourself theologically agreeing with people that perhaps you have been warring with for quite some time. So that's my last one. I don't know if you have any others you want to bring forward, Jacob, before we do our sort of retrospective.
There's so many, I don't know how I could pick a few more. To be frank, I really like. I guess there are some general genres of memes that I particularly liked over the last year.
Yeah, we have some sort of meme trends going on.
Yeah. One of them is the idea that, like, I don't know, I find the Christian media ones funny, that are like, why they all have the same actors and the same general jokes and vibes. I think that's kind of fun when we see commentary on it. And there's been a lot of that lately. And also, like, the hyper-specific Bible verse puns, where someone will say, "There's no way X is in the Bible," and then, someone posts a verse link, and it's just something that, if you read it wrong, could say that. Like the classic, "For Jesus did not speak of his own accord."
Oh, right. His Honda Accord, which, yeah, being an eternal being, sure, he could just conjure a Honda Accord anytime he wants.
Yeah, so those are some of my favorite things. Those aren't specific memes, but I've seen a lot of them lately, and I enjoy them a lot.
I still enjoy the biblically accurate angel memes. I know some people see them as the low-hanging fruit, but I think some of them are really clever. And there's actually some genuine art out there that is inspired by the biblically accurate angel from Ezekiel. So I've liked that trend. I have one more here. I'm just going to bring because it's relatively easy. It's the boardroom meme. It's from a comic, and it's God in a boardroom with a bunch of angels, and God slams his hands down on the table and says, "This is my new achievement, a human." The first angel says, "Great," and the second angel says, "Fantastic," and the third angel said, "That's just a monkey with anxiety." And God angrily looks at the angel, and then we see suddenly Lucifer falling from heaven. So I thought that was a nice twist on the meme because I believe usually the person who's thrown out the window like has a good suggestion, but the board, doesn't accept it.
Yeah, that's a pretty fun one. It also just speaks like both to it's got layers. It speaks both to the millennial experience that like a lot of our subscribers experience, and it speaks to the it's a good reference to the fall of Lucifer story.
Yeah, I like it. All right. Well, I hope that, in 2023, I hope we get some new meme formats and some new iterations on some old ones. I think something that always appeals to me is just a new template. I like when people make new templates and that it's a template that's going to, survive and go places. I know early in the year we had the Will Smith smack meme. It was very popular, but it didn't take on a life of its own in the same way. It seemed to really just be an extension of that cultural moment. So we'll see what memeable moments come down the road. One thing I want to do a little bit of a retrospective, just talk about what the highlights, maybe some lowlights of 2022 were, and then end with some optimism, things we're looking forward to or hoping for in 2023. So for me, I think the obvious thing is this podcast. This podcast started from brainstorming with some of the folks we've had on here and me really wanting to interview Dr. Amy Jill Levine. So that really motivated me here. But I'm really excited as we turn to the new year to actually be making our podcast. We have a couple episodes that are trapped in Reddit purgatory, but I am in the process of taking our episodes and getting them up onto all the podcast formats, all the providers rather. The only one I'm still waiting on is Google. So if you use Google Podcasts, we're not there yet, but I'm told I just need to be patient and we will eventually be listed there. So yeah, that I felt like that was a big deal for me. What are some of your highlights, Castor Troy?
My highlights from 2022.
Yeah.
I would just say, just on a professional note, I've been doing really great at work, honestly, and just watching just the strides and things of that nature. I would just say also the highlights. With everybody, it's weird to hear the phrasing post-COVID or post-pandemic while stuff is still, I'm gesturing wildly at the world. But I was able to do some traveling this year in this very much not post-COVID world and just try to squeeze in as much new hobbies and adventures and just things that I could try to squeeze out. So I, went to Vegas for some music festivals. I was able to go out to the desert a bit here in Texas and just tapping into things that just make me feel whole and just kind of like just looking at the next chapters of my life as I'm getting older. I just turned 36, just divulging that personal information. So just kind of like looking at things like, oh man, what does a 36-year-old elder millennial with my particular interests do to feel like they're still growing and doing things in the world? So I think one of the bigger highlights is just kind of accepting just new things and not being great at new things as I'm older. And I would say those are kind of the two particular highlights that come to mind immediately.
Yeah, well, it's always great when you can get that career moving in the right direction. And I definitely feel you on this sort of post-COVID conversation. I've definitely enjoyed a lot of things I haven't been able to enjoy this year. I feel like I've had more freedom. But I also got COVID for Christmas, and so did like almost everyone I know. So I'm with you with the like post-COVID, like, well, maybe for you personally, but yeah, we're not quite out of the woods yet. But it's good to have more freedom. It's good to have more options, and thankfully, my symptoms were pretty mild. I got someone with a hand up here, so I'm gonna invite them on board. While we're getting situated, Jacob, you want to talk about any highlights or perhaps lowlights from your 2022?
Yeah, so I guess the obvious highlight for me is that I have a new girlfriend as of the last few months. And so that's been a very nice end period for the year, I suppose.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's been fun. And the other thing is I had an Italy trip, and that was very nice. I went to Italy this year for a bit. Went to Venice and Rome and all that. That was nice. So I guess those are two like personal things. In the world events, breakthrough and fusion, that's pretty exciting.
I'm really hoping that, like, I feel like it's underhyped right now, and maybe that's for the best. But I would really love to see something come from that fusion discovery, I guess you call it.
Yeah. And I guess to just add to my little love of modern science, the other thing is the James Webb Space Telescope pictures that the year started off with. Superb. That's lived on my mind ever since it came out. Marvelous stuff.
And that image is basically our banner image anywhere we go. Since that image came out, it's been pretty fantastic. John Vander, sir. I don't know. Are you able to speak? You want to pop
Yes, thank you. For me, the highlight was last year. It's the first time I work. Then it's not a permanent job, but it's a temporarily. It's just a 6 month, and it's the best experience I ever passed. And I am challenging many phases, many situations, but and finally it's will be resolved. So that's all the things I do last year. But I think this year is a year of challenge. So I wish it will be better.
Well, yeah, and I don't know about you, but when I have a lot of challenges, not having a job on top of those challenges makes it even worse. So I hope that continues to be positive for you and gives you the strength you need going forward. I just wanted to mention one more point, because I just thought of this sort of in the world of religion, that the Pope Emeritus, the former Pope Benedict, passed away. I think it was just yesterday or the day before. And
it was just the last day of 2022, basically, in the morning, I think. Yeah.
So I want to be careful with my wording, because the current Pope is alive and well. But I think I've read, so Pope Benedict, and before that, I believe he was Bishop Ratzinger. And I read some of his work in theology school, and I wasn't a super big fan. But I will say that I think the fact that he abdicated and didn't do so under duress, that he wisely measured, I am no longer up to the challenges of the papacy, and stepped aside. I think that was very practical and very humble, and in context of stability for the leadership of the Catholic Church, I think it was a very smart move of him. And I hope that history will see it that way as well.
Yes, you have a reason, because he have done many books. He's a writer, and he also some conservative. And then he have many books that he written, and he has too many work.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to catch up with him, but I think what people appreciated is that he validated a lot of people a lot of other writers. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to do some rotating because we do have people with hands up, which is cool because I was worried that we wouldn't have anyone here. So I'm going to bring BTC Woot up. Oop. I'm getting an error when I try to bring you up. I'll keep trying. I apologize for that. Reddit talk is being a bit finicky today. So I want to talk a little bit about, well, are we ready to talk about what we're looking forward to or what we're optimistic for the coming year?
Sure. I guess maybe we could have not a Russian yet. Give
How we doing?
input first.
How we doing? I'm very happy to be here. I do love God and Christianity and stuff. Is there anything we're supposed to be talking about? Like, is there a topic that's on everyone's mind, or is it just a free-form thing?
Right now, we're just chatting about the highlights of last year. So if you've got a specific highlight that you want to share, you can go for it.
It was my birthday last year.
Pretty good.
Thank you.
Were you born on a leap year? Do you not usually get a birthday?
Not always. Sometimes I just forget. You know how it is. And other times I'm busy with other stuff, so I can't celebrate. Or at other times some sort of strange event happens and that date doesn't occur. You know how it is.
I'm not sure I do. I now feel like I don't realize how lucky I am to have consistency in my birthdays. But
Or to live on an inconsistent timeline.
It's more of a Jeremy Bear Me timeline.
Oh, by the way, is there only 4 people allowed on at a time? Because I can see my boy, BTC Woot, he wants to join, but he's not being allowed.
Yeah, we're trying to rotate people through on stage. For some reason,
okay.
I'm getting errors when I try to bring on BTC Woot. BTC Woot, if you can hear us right now, if you throw something down in comments, we'll be happy to take a look at it and respond.
So it's not like a personal beef. You don't just hate this one specific guy. It's not like
No. It takes way too much energy to hold a grudge or anything like that.
True.
Also hard to have something against a person who's never spoken. So far, So I talked a little bit about our podcast, but I think one thing that was really great
We're back in second.
was Amy Jill Levine and having her on our podcast. She's currently the only episode that's posted because I feel like it was a really great interview to lead with. And I also think that the timing of it, although we only just published it yesterday officially, that there's been a lot of discussion about Christianity and anti-Semitism and those intersections and the relations between Christians and Jewish people, historically and currently. So I'm glad that we were able to do that by talking to a professional. And one of the highlights of my year is for Christmas, I got the annotated Bible that she worked on that really focuses on the Hebrew and Jewish perspective on the New Testament. So that's fun and exciting for me. My brother called me a nerd for being excited about that, and he's correct. But that was really really awesome. All right, so let's shift to what we're looking forward to. Jacob, what comes to your mind first for 2023 and what you're looking forward to?
Once again, the girlfriend thing. I'm going to be hanging out with her this year. But also, I'm just sort of excited to every new year. It's sort of like it is an arbitrary point, but at the same time, it's a point where everyone looks together. And so that's kind of fun about it. I think that a lot of our lives are going to be characterized by continuity, but also surprises. And so for me, what's exciting for the future is what's exciting right now. And that's, well, one thing is I'm excited to start this up again and chat with y'all more. But also just I'm back home in the US for people who don't know that I was in Israel for a while, and so I'm just kind of in a new place in life than I was last time I was on this talk, and much of this year is going to be that, figuring out my future and stuff. So I imagine a lot of people relate. I don't really know what's going to happen this year, but I know that I'm going to be making a lot of decisions that affect future years as well.
Castor Troy, you wanna give us your state of mind, if you will?
Bringing it back. Wow.
Yeah, deep cut.
Appreciate it. Yeah, honestly, I'm very much looking forward to. So again, I mentioned before, professionally. So my job actually has been remote for the past 3 years. We were one of the first large corporations to basically realizing, oh, this COVID thing is legit. Let's lock everything down. So I've been working remotely since March of 2020, or actually the last week of February 2020. Starting not this coming week, but next week, we will be back to some sort of hybrid model. So I'll be going into an office for the first time in 3 years for a couple of days a week. So I'm actually really looking forward to that, only because what my job is very much based around the social aspect of training and things of that nature, and just kind of being around people and like picking up those cues and things that those little things you don't notice that you don't realize are very important virtually until you're trying to do replicated virtually. And you're like, oh, wait, people are kind of weird now because we haven't had human interaction, like direct human interaction in a lot of ways. So being back in an office and just getting that groove back and kind of helping people along the way. And that's not me being pro office in any sort of way. Like if your job can be done remotely, most places should be doing them remotely. But I recognize that that's not the case for a lot of professions, and I happen to be in one of them. So just getting back into the groove of doing that sort of thing. On a more personal level, kind of piggybacking off what I said about what my highlights of 2022 were, I'm picking up some new hobbies. I've started dabbling in photography. I've also started riding motorcycles. I've also started trying new instruments. So it's just kind of building on that foundation of just trying new things and figuring things out and just kind of actually working those things together. So I'm going to be riding out as far as I can with the camera in tow and just taking pictures of things. Like that's part of what I'm looking forward to in 2023 and just kind of making that a regular thing. And on I don't want to say a shallow level, but on a more nerdy level, I am really looking forward to what movies look like in 2023 because everything's still kind of been clipping along. You could tell there was a drop in either quality or just the way things felt as people were trying to produce in the thick of COVID and like that big pause that we got in a lot of movies and TV shows where things just paused production. So I'm really looking forward to now, like, oh, they've kind of worked out the kinks of what that is. And I'm looking forward to what Marvel's doing. I'm looking forward to just new movies that are coming out, new shows that are coming out, and just seeing what people are like. A lot of things are coming to fruition that clearly were on some sort of like hiatus for the past 2 years. And now you're going to see that pick back up. So I'm just kind of really looking forward to what nerddom is going to be in 2023. That's kind of those are the things I'm looking forward to right now.
Supposedly in the field of nerddom, I don't know if y'all are the same broken sense of humor I do, but like supposedly we're supposed to get a Kung Fury sequel coming up soon, so I'm looking forward to that.
I did not know that. Now I'm very excited.
I really enjoyed the conversations we had around media this past year. I'm going to give a little shout out to Andor because I didn't get to mention it before. What an interesting little show that made me feel like I wasn't smart enough to be watching it, but I enjoyed it just as much. So I hope we can spend some time in 2023 doing some media criticism or commentary. Because I think those are fun episodes. I really want to save our conversation on the metaverse is in Reddit purgatory, and I'm doing everything I can to get it out of there because I think that's one of our best episodes.
It's always the technical issues on here. Even just today, we had to reopen this because Reddit closed it down. So
yeah. And that wasn't even the first problem.
One thing we can look forward to this year is hopefully Reddit irons out the tech for Reddit Talks a little better.
Yeah. Reddit Talks is I'm really curious to see what happens because I feel like Reddit was holding Reddit talks up high for a while, and now I'm not entirely sure what their attitude is. Not Russian yet. Did you want to pop in?
Yeah, I was wondering, has anybody here ever been in a sword fight? Because where I'm from, sword fighting is quite a popular sport, and I'm presuming you're American. So I was wondering if sword fighting is as popular there as it is here.
I've done a little bit of fencing. I think you'll find that Americans like to swing lightsabers and lightsaber-like objects at each other.
Oh,
And I
oh,
think that there's been some sort of like theatrical choreography around that. So
right.
I'm not going to say it's taking off, but I think there are segments, especially like around cosplaying Star Wars and other. Um, well, Star Wars is really the one that comes to mind because they would
But not
hold up
like actual
sword fighting.
professional saber fighting or anything like that.
I don't
Yeah,
think
that's what
so.
I thought.
I think some folks get jazzed at it for the Olympics, but outside of that, I don't know. I don't know how much sword enthusiasm there is. I'd love to see that though.
It is, but I can send you a video of two professionals going at it if you're really that curious. It's a beautiful thing to watch. It's like a dance, you know. I mean, sword fighting's all about stance and the method of swing and how you conduct your body into the flow of the swing. It's a really beautiful thing. I think you'd enjoy it. If you're interested, I'll send you the video.
Yeah, drop it in the comments. I think the movie that comes to mind best where the sword fighting or it felt really impassioned was the Count of Monte Cristo, the newer version. I just love that movie in general. But yeah, drop a link in the comments. That sounds interesting. So I just want to say one last thing I'm thankful for. Like I said, I'm trying to make the podcast for serious, for real, so people can get it wherever they would normally get their podcasts. But it turns out, that costs a little bit of money, and that's okay. But I am really thankful that I have a sponsor that I need to call out. My Grammy. My Grammy writes me a $50 check for Christmas each year. So that's funding a lot of our podcast at this point. My Grammy's 95 years old, but when she writes that check, man, her handwriting is perfect. So she doesn't know I podcast or anything like that, but she's a tough lady, 95, and I'm glad to still have her, and I'm glad she's supporting.
When's her birthday?
Our still a
She'll
project.
get 200.
What's that?
You reckon she'll get to the big 100?
That's the goal, man. I mean, we're thankful for every day, but like when she's actually from UK. She's actually from England, so she outlived the Queen. I don't know that she feels great about that because she's a big fan of the Queen, as many people are. But
do you have English blood in you?
No, I'm actually adopted. But that's cool. It's actually kind of cool because she was actually an orphan during World War II in UK. So like adoption is sort of a part of the family tradition. So that's pretty cool.
No wonder she's so tough. If she survived World War II as an orphan, that's actually really impressive. Were her families killed during a bombing run, or what happened?
What's that?
Were her families killed from the bombing, or what happened?
We don't know. Like so many things, I don't know that there are records, and if there were records, I don't know how much interest there was in passing that on. So anyway, I just wanted to give a shout out to my Graham for giving us some of the starting funding. We do have a Patreon where we're going to have some additional content that's going to be free. So whatever I put up on the Patreon, you won't have to pay for. But if you wanted to throw some money to help us with our hosting expenses for the podcast, that would be pretty neat. So I'm plugging what I'm currently doing. I guess that's a little better. Jacob, do you want to plug anything? And Castor, do you have any projects you want to plug on our way out the door here?
Just come tune in here more if you're not a regular. We have a bit of fun, and I think we'll have a regular schedule going again soon. I don't have that much to plug offhand right now.
I'm going to be posting some of the back content, so like there's definitely more content coming. but I'm going to try to mix in, fresh recordings as well. So it feels a little more current, I guess.
I guess nothing specifically to plug right now, but I will begin or restart my writing endeavors, specifically around, if you're a fan, some pro wrestling and just that world. So that'll be popping up, and I'll probably be speaking about that if I'm able to join you all again in this community. And I'll just say, with nothing else specific to plug, I do want to say I appreciate you all inviting me and allowing me to spit whatever, if you want to call it wisdom or just nuggets of information that I can have with my perspective. So just thank you for having me here. But yeah, I'm going to start writing again soon. You'll be seeing some things popping up with my names attached to them, and hopefully people enjoy it so I can keep doing it. So yeah, that's what I got for now.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for everyone who came. Thank you, BTC Woot. I'm sorry that we were not able to get you on stage, but we appreciate your effort and your raised hand. And now I'm just going to read our show notes here. This has been the Dank Christian Memes podcast. Our music, which you won't hear this time, but on our other episodes, you'll hear music from Olive Tiger. Dank Christian Memes is a place for all kinds of Christians and all kinds of non-Christians to enjoy memes, fellowship, and this podcast. If you'd like to connect with our community further, we have some social links in the description. Thank you for listening, and until next time, may the memes bless you and keep you.